And welcome to the first day of trial in case 2-4. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there's someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia. We must get a complete acquittal today. I know. I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him! This is right? Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. By the way, I have no idea why he's still referred to as question marks when we know that his name is the killer. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For myself, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial opens, even if you don't like my gift. I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait! The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer Dude? Who was that? Oh, no one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer?
Court is now in session for the trial of Madame Garde. Are the prosecution and defense ready?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Kalma?
I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor!
Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now, what is it?
Prosecutor Von Kalma has... This morning, Miss Von Kalma was shot by an unknown gunman.
What?
Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Kalma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. You mean in this country where she had no trials up to now except for the 2 that she had against me, which she lost. How is she the top prosecutor in the country right now? If she disappeared, this would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Kalma, is she alright?
I don't have that answer.
She's alive and in stable condition.
That's good. You're...
I thought he'd show up. Hi, Edgeworth! Due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska von Kalma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Kalma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Remember how I said during her first appearance that Franziska was very much like her father, but something would later on happen to make her more like her father? Yes, Franziska was shot in the right shoulder just like her father. Hilariously ironic. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ongard.
The court acknowledges the prosecution.
Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation.
My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the Crescent.
For now.
For now?
After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. You know, if I ever end up on a witness stand, I hope the prosecution is nice enough to give me some antidepressants then. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. It would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for... Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth.
This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes Award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony?
Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m. and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later.
And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct?
Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant Matt Ongard's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir. Oh, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence.
She will.
When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Ongard. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir.
The cause of death, wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest?
Only a careless amateur will believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good, hard look at the crime photo.
I'm leaning up against the screen, and it still mostly looks like a stab weapon. But I know the case, so it's not actually the cause of death.
Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn here, to his bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana.
Then what about the knife?
It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
And why did you think that?
Because it was empty, pal.
It was open and empty.
The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that?
We thought of that too, but
the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victim's.
Only the victims, huh?
So much for my theory then.
What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case?
The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar.
So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel.
That's right. So it's really had nothing to do with the case after all.
Heh, the guitar case had nothing to do with the case. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Engard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edward's back in full swing.
Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Matt Engard and Juan Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book.
Well, sadly enough, we seem to be working according to your book.
As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume, was found in Mr. Engard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the
crime. What? Bought it? I think it was supposed to be brought? We'll see soon enough.
So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood in it is the victim's blood, sir.
What?!
All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find a hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like, just hurry up with your usual pointless questioning. Yay, I get to press as hard as I want. But in terms of popularity, Mr. Engard won, did he not? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Corrida was always one step behind Mr. Ongard in everything. This year it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end.
That is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing.
Wait just 1 second there. Mr. Ongard was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls.
Well, yeah, I guess, but...
Which means that in the defendant's eye, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all.
Well, Detective?
It's not, I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant wouldn't have had no motive.
Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired.
No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. That's...
I look forward to your pension negotiations.
No!
Now, Detective, let's continue with the testimony.
No, not my poor pension too.
If you value your money, I suggest you proceed.
Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir.
What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? Bueller?
Do you have any proof that button belonged to the victim? Huh? I don't get you, pal.
Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off of the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
Huh? But can't you tell by just looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it.
Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterwards.
Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir.
Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in.
Thread.
Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. That thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match.
Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal.
Why, thank you. I've always said that Phoenix and Edgeworth are a perfect match. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. When was this button found?
Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button.
So it was almost immediately after the murder.
The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people.
Hey! What is he trying to say about me here? How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife?
Huh? Well, what do you mean, pal?
By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand?
Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that.
I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Pot calling you black, or however the saying goes. The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So, there were even his fingerprints all over the blade of the knife?
So was the defendant the owner of this knife then?
I'm pretty sure... yes. Wait a second.
What?
So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand?
That's right, pal. The defendant
Did not buy this knife.
Huh?
Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Huh? It has Gatewater seal set into the handle.
Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before.
That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel.
Uh-oh.
The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Can I just say I find it hilarious that in this overhead shot, Mia Pearls' hair actually looks pretty black, and not her usual light brown?
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough to not realize this.
But I didn't... Oh...
The question is, where did this knife come from?
Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corrida's room.
Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate her last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. From this slideshow of the victim's room I have?
There is a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from?
If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matongard. Once again a slideshow, maybe? Especially what was on top of this table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Ongard's knife was missing. Mr. Ongard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on the visit? To kill, of course. Actually, I once carried a knife along on my person when I went to school. No reason really. I just did it because I felt like it. I had no intention of killing anyone. Not to mention that it actually kind of slices like a butter knife. I haven't sharpened the blade for years. I don't think I ever sharpened it since I got it. This was a premeditated murder. Can I just say that in this court, or in this world's court, it never actually matters if a murder is premeditated or on the spur of a moment? It still counts as murder to them. It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps and I just walked headlong into it.
A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here.
Wow. 2 evident pieces against the defendant. He's boned. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of Your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. Well, let's see, I could show them the suicide reports, a crime photo, the glass. I could show them a lot of stuff.
What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well, Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to the court?
Yes. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all.
Nobody cares what the dear Your Honor thinks the trial needs. You just continue and be a good boy here, sitting and drawing in your coloring book.
However, I am giving you one chance, and only one.
What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. No ass pulls unless I'm the one doing them to you. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us.
Oh no! The entire bar! What is this important evidence that you must show to the court?
Quite honestly, I do not remember. I think it's the wine glass. I'm pretty sure it's the wine glass. If I screw this up, I'm gonna re-record this and just edit the correct evidence after this. But let's hope this worked.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because the victim struggled against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. Can I just say one thing? Considering he was strangled with a bandana and they're saying he struggled against his assailant, wouldn't they be confused that he was sitting very calmly, or he's obviously sitting very calmly in a chair? I would say that looks pretty weird. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. It's not a wine glass! I've never seen a wine glass that looks like that! This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth?
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion?
You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible. Mr. Wright?
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? Considering what she later reveals, kind of, not really, yes. If I appear weak here, the trial is over. I can look for my proof later. I'm just gonna bum around my job as I do always. They just might fall for it, if you're really thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. Fingerprints?
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? I thought you never really took a look at the crime scene until this morning. Or sort of. Of course it has been thoroughly inspected. For fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints. Shouldn't this be there was only one set? Because even if it is a set of something, one set is still it's still singular. It's like the word equipment. Even if equipment can be a term for overall things like helmet, armor, gloves, boots, all that stuff, it's still one word that counts as a singular word, and despite it encompassing several things. It's this equipment.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims, nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of Adrian Andrews. What?! That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Now do you see, Mr. Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. But it explains too well! I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. But
I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? No, Edgeworth, what have you done? Witness, your name and Gotcha! I wonder what happened to that calm composure you had earlier. Oh, Auntie boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I know her voice changed. Well, my voice is changing right now too. It's very painful. I saw the report with the testimony, but who knew that under that helmet? It was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that you won't have to do with a terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know.
Ugh! Shush! I'm talking to my ear edgy wedger right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps.
Yes, madam.
No, please, by all means interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that Oldbag saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida.
Those two were the same age.
Anyway, as I was saying...
Oh, stop talking so slowly. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo! Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye on the whole while. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room.
Once again, as I said in case 1-1, a man coming out of somebody else's apartment is not that big of a deal in this world.
It was Oldbag. Matt Oldbag. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
So Mr. Oldbag came out of the victim's room.
See? It has to be him. He's the murderer.
Please, no. I don't want to deal with her. Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night?
The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for the trifling show. But I refused to help. I'll have you know, it was for the lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Random vandalism, yay!
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
And that's when you went to the hall. Went to hang around the victim's door. Something you were interested in? And just what was that?
It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. Oh, and Eddie, of course.
Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in?
I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? If this is something to do with the case, then you can append it to your testimony. It looks like we shouldn't force it right now. Then, would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Corrida's room?
I have no idea. I wasn't born, so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Well, that would explain why your age was not recorded in the report.
Wouldn't her birth date or her birth year tell us that? I mean, I guess you could, phone up City Hall and ask for a copy, or at least information on her birth certificate. Who in the world was that?
I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room, he was...
Please tell me she's having a stroke. Please tell me she's having a stroke.
I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud.
Okay, we learned who the real murderer is. It was Voldemort. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Franziska's whip right about now. Her whip would be pretty awesome to have, yes.
Well, I guess I can tell you since he was such a bad boy anyway.
You saw my client? Are you sure about that?
Is he?
Really?
Annoying brat! When I say I saw someone, I saw that person!
Why do I get a sense of déjà vu?
Maybe to avoid a mess like last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. The clothes are so important.
What a troublesome man you are! Really, as if something like that matters!
But it does.
Now, what was it? Oh yes, there was that thing!
What thing?
That gaudy thing he's always wearing! That racing jacket!
Oh, he was wearing that at the detention center too.
That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of the pantaloons! Men!
Right.
So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
Yes, but I think I have to unlock something first before that. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony.
I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright. Witness, please.
Oh, well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must...
Was I thinking of something else? No, I don't think it was a button. I think I have to unlock a certain picture first before... Well, before I can get rid of what he was wearing, so I think I'm gonna have to show the magazine clipping first. Okay, no, I'm wrong about that. I was pretty sure. I am thinking, Your Honor. Where do I have to press this again? I'm gonna press it first. Just to see if there's something fast. Forwarding. Okay, nothing really. Or was it the ticket? Nope, not the ticket either. That is so strange. I remember there was... I somehow had to reveal that she was in front of the room so she could prove that thing going on between Corrida and Andrews. So that would give me... a picture of the nickel samurai coming out of the room. But maybe I'm confusing things. Are you sure the defendant was wearing a racing jacket?
What do you think? It's not like I've seen him in anything other than that horrible thing. I'm sure he was wearing it.
She is so sure of herself that it's the point of self-absorption. She may not remember things that we've mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us. Really bad. But that's how the human mind is. Also has the tendency to jump off topic. She strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? Shut up, Mia. Was it the button? Yes. That is so weird. I mean, technically he could be wearing the racing jacket on top and the hakama at the bottom. So really, this shouldn't work.
What? Don't say my name for no reason.
Do you know what this is?
It's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume!
Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Fun fact, there's a myth in Japanese high schools where on the day of their graduation, high school boys give their buttons away from their jackets, and the myth is that the second button from the top is the one most magical, so it'll always give them luck or luck and love and stuff like that. Considering his are in a square pattern, maybe she just says that it's number 2.
Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punch you with this!
Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ongar's body during a full-body search.
See! See! This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Ongard!
It was caught up in the plates of his nickel samurai Hakama pants. Isn't saying Hakama pants kind of redundant?
See! See! And Ongard is the nickel samurai!
Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. Oh boy, do I have that. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ongard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? And I'll say it again. Pants are worn on the legs. Jacket is worn on the torso and arms. Wearing one doesn't exclude the other, Phoenix.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wanted to turn yesterday, maybe you think I was a better woman.
I'm not gonna bother with this. This takes place in 2017. Why the hell are you not using CDs?
Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ongard the man, but Mr. Ongard the Nickel Samurai?
No. I have to point it out for a 3rd time. He could wear the pants and the racing jacket. So technically she could have seen Ongard the man while the pants were still the samurai part. He has a split personality. The bottom part is the nickel samurai and the top part is Ongard, if you want to be like that.
But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway.
Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about.
Edgy Poo, do you think so too?
Well, it might be something worth thinking about. Just say it's important to agree with me for a change. He only agrees with you on certain things outside of court. But then that's always, you know, his separation of pleasure and work. You do not mix those two.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
Alright, if you insist.
I should be the one sighing, not you.
Ongard! Ongard! Yes, now I remember! The Nickel Samurai, that's right, it was the Nickel Samurai that I saw! Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to the post-ceremony show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn the Nickel Samurai when he was stabbing poor Juan.
I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume.
What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things.
But the possibility does exist.
Oh, youngins today, I told you there's no way it was anyone else.
Well, how do you know that?
Because I said so, and what I say is the truth.
Please shoot yourself with your ta-ta-ta-ta gun. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
Spoilers, this is thankfully the only other time that she is going to be a witness. She doesn't appear again as a witness later on.
Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Why can't I just throw her off the stand?
What is it with this game always forcing the most annoying witnesses to be the one that I have to cross-examine the most? Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, now he's not. Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this, when you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper?
My dream, huh? I always dreamt of becoming Edgeworth's house husband. I mean, I did meet him in 4th grade, and the entire reason I became a lawyer so I can meet him again. Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner here of the Public's Court.
So what? See! And look at where you are now, you're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well... What I said earlier, who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies?
Since case 1-1?
All that matters, that man was inside a costume. Isn't that enough?
And why would that be?
That way no one could see his face, of course.
But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You've never been to a convention, have you? Then again, neither have I.
You're such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me? It's her fault, no, it's his fault. Both of you shut up.
I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of costumes.
Was there anything else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show?
Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing.
And that included the Jamming Ninja?
Of course it included him. That's why when Ongat came out of Tijuan's room, he didn't give it a second thought. Well, anyway...
So, let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai?
As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning?
Can I throw in the towel yet? If I can't, you can't. You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in testimony, and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is, what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but... okay. I haven't pressed that one yet. Would you please get on with your testimony?
Watch your language, young man! What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs!
What? I am not gonna sing that crap. She's actually singing. Someone help my poor ears.
Can you please do something about this racket?
Witness, I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and stick to just the facts.
Okay! You promise, right?
Right. I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Anything to give you an excuse to come to my office, I guess. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum.
No. I am being not very observant today because my eyes are pretty tired. Also, I hate this case. I don't really remember, and quite honestly, I don't care. I'm so tired. And it's only 10:30. Okay, let's try that again. Was it the press conference? Oh, let's give it a shot. No. Yes, I know I'm getting pretty low in health. I don't really care. Why can I not skip over the damn "you made a mistake" lines? I mean, I have replayed the entire game like a few times. You'd think I would be allowed to do that. You know what? Screw this. I'm gonna take a break. Because I can't stand her anymore, and I need a break from the case. I'm just gonna edit the rest of this part because I'm pretty sure I only have like 5 more minutes or so of her testimony, hopefully. And I'm back. It was a semi-short little break from the case. But whatever. What we have to present here is the knife. I do have to say something about the knife, though. What kind of stupid logic does this case have? Or even this entire trial? I mean, it says it has Matt's fingerprints on it. Okay, let's go on a little bit and then I can really go off on it. Yes, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all.
That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct?
Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case?
You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it.
Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at.
What are we driving at? Whose car are we driving?
Well, not Phoenix's, considering he doesn't have a license. If Mr. Ongad was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Okay, first of all, I feel like being a jerk and saying, considering Von Karma said in 1-4 that it's entirely possible that Edgeworth picked the gun up, shot, wiped his fingerprints off and then put his other hand fingerprints on it, this could take it, and the writers obviously thought that was a legit idea actually. We could say this happened here too, but it didn't, because we know it's a setup. It's so obviously a setup. Also, can somebody explain to me why anybody thinks that the knife is actually all that fucking important? I mean, yes, it has Matt's fingerprints on it. Who gives a flying fuck? Juan Corrida was killed via strangulation. Who the hell thinks that after Matt supposedly strangled Juan, that he would stab him with a knife? What's the point of stabbing a corpse when he's already dead? Unless you're a coward who's trying to do it just to say, well, I stabbed myself a corpse. You know, like Addis in Fried Green Tomatoes. Ooh, the black boy stabbed himself a white man. It was a white man's corpse, you moron. Still, the knife shouldn't have any point here. It should be thrown out because we know it's a setup. It's obvious that it's a setup. And once again, why stab him with a knife when he's already strangled? Nobody seems to think, that seems a bit of kind of a redundant thing to do. What's the point of that? He's already dead. Too long, didn't listen. Fuck the knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife off. You mean had he worn gloves over the knife? No, he wouldn't have. He might have smudged them. He might have, depending on what the gloves are made of, if they're made of leather or similar, then we would have probably gotten some partial of the fingerprints from the knife onto the gloves, and the gloves would have smudged the fingerprints slightly on the knife. By the way, I have something to say about those fingerprints later on. But the fingerprints wouldn't disappear.
Oh, that's right, the Dicka Samurai wears gloves, does he?
He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. Edgeworth, what's wrong with you? Why are you thinking like Funkama? I just mentioned how Funkama actually thought you picking the gun up with one hand then the other to get the other hand's prints on it after shooting with the previous one was a legit idea. Now you think this guy was actually gonna take his gloves off, then stab, and then put the gloves back on? Who the hell wrote this stuff? This isn't just satirical of the Japanese court system, it's a mindfuck of proving how stupid people can be. I write better law stuff than you. And it doesn't even have to be satirical. I could write a serious law story. I've seen Ace Attorney fanfiction that had better story ideas than the official crap in this one. God, I hate this case. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? According to Edgeworth and according to writers, yes. There is no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. God, just make out already. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as a nickel samurai. With the knife in his pants? Well, of course he had something in his pants. At that time, the defendant had no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. While brandishing this knife and twirling it in his fingers, I do it all the time. It's Taco Tuesday for me then. Taco Tuesday while brandishing a knife. Fun times. Which is why he took his gloves off.
But the murder still did take place.
It's well known that the defendant and the victim had bad blood between them. And you obviously think that they just sit in the same room and casually chat about stuff. Edgeworth, I will ask again, what is wrong with you?
I have heard of that. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory?
I don't know, Phoenix, did you somehow congratulatory suck out his brain last night? That's the only explanation I can think of. So, let me get this straight. Nothing in this game is straight. Stop it using that word. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intentions of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with this theory? I'm staring dumbfounded at the screen. Cause of death was already revealed to be strangulation, not the fucking knife in his chest. Why are we still saying, well, the knife was used to kill him, it was intention of killing and blah blah blah? The knife is unimportant. I will say it again, fuck the knife. Nobody cares about the knife if the damn COD was strangulation with his own bandana. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ongard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. This knife, this was used by Mr. Ongard at dinner.
Yes, we did establish that.
Which means that if my client was, in fact, the killer, then he brought us this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corrida. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant had no intention to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? I will say it again, you can carry a knife along on your person without really going anywhere with an intention to kill anyone or do anything with the knife. Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from what? Fuck that word. I'm too tired for this. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Oh, now you say we would have glove marks, but not that it would have made the fingerprints disappear. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. I'm still asking, do the fingerprints are also on the blade? And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us.
Why would the murderer do such a thing?
It's to frame my client, Mr. Ongard, of course.
To frame?
Aren't you forcing the interpretations just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume, and if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. I'm gonna go on a different tangent here, off topic. Because if I talk about that knife anymore, I am going to smack my fist through the screen. Something I felt like mentioning about this game for a while now was that the graphic sprites, or the sprites, were not updated alongside the games. In this game it isn't that bad, because the drawings are still a bit crude and the lines aren't that great. So putting the first game's and the second game's sprites next to each other doesn't look that bad. But in the third case, the third game, you will notice that there is a leap of graphical improvement on the sprites, and they just look plain weird next to the first game sprite. Which is really sad, because when I first played this game, I thought they had updated the sprites and that Edgeworth would actually wear something different when he returned. But they didn't. But I think the worst example of not updating the sprites is in the DS-only Case 1.5, which I'm going to finish, or I'm actually going to do after I finish the trilogy games. And in one of the the Apollo Justice games in the fourth case, where we see the first game sprites next to the Apollo Justice sprites, and that just looks so plain. There's such a leap of graphics, you make you wonder why even if it's just for a short moment, you'd think that at least update the graphics a little bit to look better and not be these giant eyesores to stare at, while the other sprites look actually pretty decent. Okay, I'm done. I think I have banished that stupid knife out of my thoughts for now. Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy?
Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai?
Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Engard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV? She did it in case 1-3, what makes you ask that she did it here? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that. Look, I was waiting around in front of the door because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai? Alright then. Who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security.
I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida. Am I correct, Witness?
The way you think, you are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness.
Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of?
So Oldbag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe... Phoenix! Maybe the Oldbag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think it Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag, you were waiting for this person to come to the victim's room, weren't you?
Who is this person?
This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Engard's manager.
But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room?
It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor.
Oh, this is... Well, this is... Oh, I see.
The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing.
Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's...
Adrian Andrews. Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I could throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff.
Witness? What in the world are you...
Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course.
But what for?
No, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here?
Why are you asking him? I'm the defense that has to ask questions. I really don't want to do this. However, I cannot simply let this point slide.
I see. Very well then, witness, please testify about this secret information.
Get ready! This is going to take the wind out of you young'uns! I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. It's not like we're 10 years old. Could have fooled me. That Engard is one evil, evil man! He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took actions. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know that, okay?
The defendant sent his manager? What a distasteful topic for this court.
You're the one who has to testify about it. Nobody's above gossip. I am. You have no idea how often it annoys me in Persona 4. It's all like, oh, gossip here, gossip there. You overhear students talking about gossip once again. And isn't there a saying? The truth is never pleasant. Never heard that one before.
What about this Adrian Andrews person?
We have looked into this matter, and found that the truth the article proposes is, in fact, baseless gossip.
But should this be true, And this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim.
I thought we already established that they have a rivalry going on. So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all. Be careful. The Oldbag seems rather excited right now. That's right! Onga is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth! Well, as the old saying goes, you've gotta burn old bags with fire. I've never heard that one before. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. I'm pretty sure those are song lyrics. A scandal? What do you mean by that? You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is! Honestly, what are you teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, that old guy thought he could own a monopoly on popularity. You don't have any proof that Mr. Ongar did any such thing. You must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're so much shocked, you can't do anything right. You're right, I can't do anything. But boy, do I wish I could do something about you. Alright then, Sonny, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that Ongar didn't bear any ill will towards Quan? No. I don't have anything to offer. See? Just as I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You're the witness. You can be thrown into jail for perjury. I can simply lose my badge, and who cares about losing my badge? You've just given me a free pass to say whatever I want, silly boy! Somebody please strangle her with that stupid tape recorder thing on your stomach, torso, whatever the hell it is. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles. For you, anyway. So, what do you mean by I took action? I already told you I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you young'uns need.
You were going to teach her a good lesson?
I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this!
No, stop.
Well, it was too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know the secret information? Well, it's because I'm a pro. Yeah, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drill a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. How in the world did that Oldbag get such a secret piece of information? So, no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that! Witness? I'm sad to say, but this is how you found out the secret, isn't it? The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart, I thought she was a celebrity photographer by now.
Oh, yes. I remember that mischievous girl.
She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself.
She reported such a thing?
On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written in this piece of paper is completely meaningless. Ah, that's it, that's the note. No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy!
Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note?
I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why! That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper! She's working with an evil on god. She said so herself. Oh god, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Angie Poo, you believe me, don't you?
Yeah.
I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before.
You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine.
Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just once.
She also stole a $700 and $1,600 camera. Just saying, it wasn't just a piece of paper. She looks like she's really sorry. No, she doesn't. Should I forgive her? Never! If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. I'm sure you can do quite a good blow to him. You said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct?
Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you loring brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can, that's all!
You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it!
Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again?
Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole that night. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it?
A camera?
Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweetie 1600 camera disappeared on me."
Witness?
What is it, Gramps?
If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera too.
Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for?
This isn't the camera I'm looking for.
This isn't the camera you're looking for.
That's...
What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you, I fall in love, and borrow things from people.
Now, borrowing means you asked.
I think your definition of borrow is a little off.
I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimeball Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard, it's my business to know these things.
Check this camera's photos. Hurry! We must examine them at once.
Oh my god, this part still isn't over.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There's only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai.
See, I told you, that's the guy I saw.
This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Onga clearly stated that at the time of the murder he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume.
If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is...
the defendant. And we're back to 1-3, where they thought that the costume means it's the person. Unfortunately, they didn't remain as intelligent as they did in the previous case with Max.
I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close.
Fuck you, fuck Peanut Gallery, and fuck me, Edgeworth!
Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client?
if this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then I would put Maya's life in jeopardy.
If you don't raise an objection, you'd also do that!
I told you the subplot in this game was terrible. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took, there's something strange with this photo.
I knew this was coming, right?
Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we can all agree there's nothing strange with this photo. There is no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster.
Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, please look at the photo one more time.
If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct?
Well,
I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this picture anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't you take a good shot, especially when it counts?
Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
I don't know if it matters which leg you focus on, but as long as you get, this part. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here.
What are you pointing at? His ankles?
If you could see this person's ankle, that would be one thing. However, you can't.
And? What does it mean?
The Nickel Samurai in this photo could not have been Mr. Engarde.
What is the meaning of this?
I wonder if you will care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama.
His socks? You can see his socks.
Oh, what indecency! Quick, cover them up with some shoes! Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. Quite frankly, it looks more like he's shuffling on the overflow of the pants, not that he's holding them up. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Right, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. I don't know, he wasn't very calm when Oldbag was revealed. Then again, I can't think of anyone who would be calm when it's her. I mean, she. Whatever. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Well, if the ride is Phoenix, of course he's along for it. I can only think that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then he's not taking any damage? Well, no, obviously I'm not hitting his weak spot.
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Ned Engarde, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless.
Why? I demand you to explain why this one picture debunks everything. I thought it would come to this. What? Right. I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt Engarde. No, I have proven that there is a chance that it is not he.
it could still be him. Because technically those Hakama look bunchy enough that he could, crouch a little bit and walk. But still, it's a chance that it's not him, not that it is perfectly 100% not him. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Right. Don't focus on the trial, just focus on Edgeworth. Yeah, why is he so calm?
Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph? Adrian Andrews?
If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it is none other than this woman. And why would you say it would be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. You know, Phoenix, that doesn't mean anything. Okay. I'm not sure about the average height of Japanese women, but I see several of them in video games and similar listed as, like, between 160 and 164. I'm sort of 165. So that's short. So really, short is not a good reason. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Ongar's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ongar that night.
And how does it all add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with a Mr. Ongar's fingerprints all over it.
The knife that was used as a murder weapon?
No! God damn it, how many fucking times do I have to say this? He was strangled, not stabbed! Stop talking about the fucking knife! Why don't you just say what it is you want, right? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense motions to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Okay, Phoenix. She's guilty of trying to frame Matt. That doesn't mean that she's the murderer, or it doesn't automatically mean that she's the murderer. Okay? Okay.
It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
All right, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more... If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow.
What am I supposed to do now? The judge is about to adjourn the court.
Now then.
Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today.
I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony.
I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development.
Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
And what do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Andrews' alien. Miss Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. Well, if people stopped thinking that the knife actually mattered and that we actually have to listen to Oldbag, I would have gotten there much faster. Or better yet, if the game actually gave me an option to say, I immediately have the theory that my client is being framed. Allow me to immediately show you the evidence that might prove, or at least indict, this other witness. But we can't, because the game likes to drag on and tell me stuff over and over and over until I can't hear it anymore. What? What?!
What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man? Yes, because Edgeworth is awesome. Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly.
Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we should take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth.
You know, you'd think that he'd already prepared her if he already has her waiting in the prosecution lobby.
The court will now take a 10-minute recess.
Thank God.